there, y'all. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips Monday of Thanksgiving Week edition. With me, your host, Ann, disembodied hands, Quindy, and her servitors, Justin and John. How are you all this morning? Sorry for the late start. I had a last-minute kerfuffle about what am I going to do today? So we are probably going to have a split show because we're probably going to do finish out sculpting the basing here on the Ghostwalker, and then I'll probably start on Sophie. If you remember, we were going to do Dungeoneer Sophie. It is a Monday. It's certainly a Monday. Crows, thank you. 18 months. Hey, you're on your sub-and-a-half anniversary. Awesome. Super, super. And D. Clearman for the 43 months. Oof! It like hits you like a ton of hammers. 43 months. You've been staring at me teaching for almost 4 years. That's insane. Alrighty. Hey, Quindy. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, it is absolutely a Monday, guys. Absolutely a Monday. It's a lot of months. It's a lot of months. Yeah, I know. I was much younger. I was much younger. Oh, it was 4 years ago. Whee! Oh, boy. Okay. Well, gotta put that over here. Sorry. Have sticky notes invading my territory here. Oh, man. No, it's a Monday, Karnika. We're all having Mondays with you. It's Solidarity Monday time. Monday Solidarity. Everybody be solid with Karinico. Yeah, I can't. I did have my tea. I have an awesome tea that I call Christmas. It's a chocolate mint rooibos tea. So it's like super, super tasty. So if you out there are looking for a replacement for hot chocolate because you just can't have it or you just want to cut down on the amount of calories in it or whatever, chocolate rooibos tea is like absolutely gives me the feeling like it because it has that chocolate flavor, but it's tea, so you can control the amount of like sweet you put in it and the amount of creamer or whatever and what the type of creamer. So if you have weird diets like me, Numi makes a chocolate rooibos, and then this one I got the chocolate mint I got from a place in Santa Fe, a little tea shop called Artful Tea, I think. I don't like, I can't do barley tea because it's gluten. Probably I try it. Barley has gluten in it. I don't do it. Hey, Big Chimpa, how's it going? Yeah, it is such a Monday. See, everybody's having a Monday. Monday with training stuck on top. Oh no, gas leak. Eek. Oh no. Oh no, Karanico. Oh no. Hey, you can pretend you're living in pioneer times where they had to heat like, just like a kettle of water for baths and just do sponge or cloth baths, right? Sponge baths. You can do it. You can do it. That is awful. Man, I would be like so done when Wednesday came. Although it does teach you what you can, what you can tolerate. Do you have a fireplace though, Karnico? Can you at least, heat up the place with old-fashioned ways? I would totally be all over the fireplace. No fireplace. Oh, no. Oh, no. That makes it worse. I'm so sorry. Time to make a fireplace. That is terrible. Yuck. Yuck. Yeah, that is all. Like, that would be my sad, is no heat, right? Because it'd be so cold. Man. Yeah, that's kind of craptastic. Okay, it's really craptastic. Oh yeah, that sounds really good. Comforter attached to sides and heating element underneath. That is a fantastic idea. Trust the Japanese to come up with something like that. Yeah, I can't do that anymore, Turvyn. I had to cut way back on my sugar. It just doesn't make me feel good. So yeah. So if anyone is looking for a replacement, obviously you are not looking for a replacement. I remember when I was like, slave to the Swiss Miss. That was a lot of pounds ago. So I get it. I do get it. It is really good, but I just can't do it anymore. One small heater. Oh yeah, you have one small. Okay. One small heater and 3 grumpy cats stuck in one room. Aw. Poor kiddos. Poor kiddos. Sorry, kiddos. Yeah, that is terrible. Ugh. Yeah, I guess you could buy another electric heater, but space heaters, I don't know. I mean, it would work, but... Alrighty, so let's get the rest of this little cobblestone crap done. Let's actually get in focus, take a look at what we've done already. My cobblestones are not perfect, I'll tell you that. Not perfect cobblestones. But, you know what? They're pretty much in the spirit of the cobblestones that exist there, so they should do just fine. They should do just fine. Hey, Kodiak, thank you. Yeah, you're almost there. It's a few more months. Yes. See, I didn't even know that chocolate tea existed until I saw it in the store one day and went, what? And then when I had it, I was like, this is like hot chocolate, except I can control it. I can make it better. Or at least I make it, more me. More me. So let us grab, I was using Julie tools. Because Julie tools. Oh, Julie, are you on? Bob and Julie, are you here? Because I have a message to pass on. If you are here. If you are not here yet, we'll just have to pass it on to you tomorrow. Oh, yeah, I bet. We have, our heating is powered by gas, but it's outside the house. Because it's a water, our flooring is radiant, and it's water. The gas thing heats the water that goes through the pipes underneath the floor and heats the house. It's not quite the same, but yeah, well, so some electric heaters. Of course, you don't want to buy one and then never use it again. You don't want to spend the money. All right, so we just have a little strip of stones to do. Oh, okay. So yeah, green users, that you gave David the tool. So not only me, but David got a tool at ReaperCon too. This tool with the pointed spoon, pointy spoon. That's what we'll call it, pointy spoon, and the spade, or in the paddle, the hockey stick, as he calls it. So I wanted you to know, Julie. He mentioned it last night. That I should tell you, he uses it every day. Like he's like, this is my only sculpting tool now. So he says thank you, thank you, thank you. David has many thank yous for you. I told him I would pass it on. I use pointy spoon the most. But then I don't do like cloth and stuff, which is I think what this is very good for. But the pointy spoon is where it's at for me. I love it. Handmade Julie Guthrie sculpting tools. Guys. All right, so I'm going to grab a fairly decent sized piece of putty yellow. Let's get back a little bit here. Too close, too close. Fairly decent sized chunk of yellow. Roll it into a ball. Yeah, he loves it. He's been doing a lot of sculpting lately on Golden Demon entries, so he's been working with green stuff a lot. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the last of the blue here. There is blue left, but the blue that's right up against the yellow is going to be full of lumps from starting to cure because it's right up against the yellow. So you never can use all of your blue or all of your yellow from a strip. And inevitably, there is less blue than yellow on a strip. And what is up with that, by the way, green stuff makers? Like, come on. Actually, I think I'm going to need a little bit more. My blue is a little bit bigger than my yellow, and I want actually the yellow to be just a tad bigger than the blue, so snap a little bit more. But yeah, seriously, people who make, I guess that's why they make the big tubes of green stuff, right? But sometimes I just like the little ribbons. They're convenient and small, and I don't do a lot of it, green work. Well, it's not your fault. They're just confused. Poor kiddos. All right, so yeah, that looks a little better. We'll take this. Smoosh. Smoosh. I'm going to put my plastic over the side here. Kiki would be happy if there was no heat. She's the dog who, when the heat goes on, the radiant heat goes on in our bedroom at like 5 or 6 a.m. because it's so freaking cold and it's tripped the heater. She gets all like, she doesn't like whine, but she's like all restless. So you can tell that she doesn't like it. We always joke with Shiloh's that the Malamute genes really stuck, even though they were like, 30 years ago. Our dogs tend to love cold weather. Kiri had a puppy Ajax, who his owners called the Yeti because he's this big floofy boy who took a lot after his daddy Leo. But he loved the cold so much that when it got to like 30 degrees, he would just go outside and lie down in the yard. He didn't want to come in. He would not come in. Wouldn't come in except for food. He just loved the cold. Yeah, a little bit more. That's what I've gotten to doing too, green users. A little bit more yellow than blue. Not quite 50-50, yeah. Otherwise, I find that if I get too much blue in it, then it gets where I can't blend it in, where I can't pull it really thin. All right. There we go. So we've got our green stuff. And we've got our various sculpting tools, so let us use them. Let's use the Julie tool. I believe I was also using this one to push down between the stones, the little curved pointy thing. Okay. Let's get, of course I always make too much green stuff. Better than having to stop and mix it up again. All right, so let's make it kind of a worm. Not even a worm. It's more a sausage. We're making a sausage out of it. Not edible though. Not non-toxic, folks. So always wash your hands after working with green. There we go. Kiki was a little bit of a dingo this morning. Actually, I will need one more. I do want one more tool. I want my giant spoon. So we'll have a whole bunch of spoons today. I really like giant spoon for patting down things. Oh yeah, David will probably watch it at work. Google usually has it on in the lounges so that when people are taking a break, they can catch up on World Cup. But we're unlikely to watch here. I never really got into that sport. So we're smoothing it down. We're also pushing it so we can fill in the gap here. I had a pretty good eye for how much I'd need, so that's pretty good right there. And I can press this down and kind of make sure that it's joined up with the base, the metal base, or the Bones USA base, sorry. Not metal. All right, now it's time to get the smaller, more finicky tools and get a little closer. And, oh, I was also using the texture thing. I need to get the texture thing out. Texture thing, there it is. We were also using yeah, like seriously, it's a really good alternative. Especially, I mean, they make caffeinated and non-caffeinated. I also have a chocolate pu'er tea. So pu'er is the double fermented black tea. I really do like pu'er, but it's high caffeine, so I don't have it unless I really need the hit. But yeah, chocolate tea is my hot chocolate go-to now. Like I still have some Numi drinking chocolate, like really good, tasty hot chocolate for emergencies, for special occasions. Because you know I let myself have sugar every once in a while, but only these days I'm only doing it on special occasions. It was actually the fallout from Halloween that made me decide to go this direction, because Halloween we had extra candy and I ate some of it and I definitely felt ill. So I'm just like, I didn't feel great, right? I try and pay attention to how I'm feeling these days. Like, sure, it was tasty. It made me want to eat more of it. But I didn't feel great. So that's why I decided to go away from it so much this end of this year. All right, so we've got some brick stuff here that we can set up. I've kind of blended it into those guys. Yeah, chocolate rub is seriously good stuff. And then the chocolate pu'er if you want the caffeine. But yeah, they're a great sub. Granito. I'm gonna just do stitch some lines in here to make my bricks kind of offset from each other. And that's the first step. It's just kind of, you're almost like sketching in the green. And you're trying to make them irregular, because if you look at your patterns over here, you've got irregular shapes and sizes. And you also want to kind of lead them off of the edges of the stones that are sculpted onto the base so that it disguises it and makes it look like it's all one thing instead of like you've sculpted into it. Let's see here. I'm going to make a very small row of bricks here. Boom. So I'll make a thinner strip there, and then I'll cut it up. Get a little offset there. And then I want to come back and make a big brick here. Big cobble right there under her foot. Yeah, I bet. I mean, hot chocolate has a lot, is usually like milk, right? It's got a lot of cocoa and sugar in it, Pendrake. Chocolate tea doesn't have any sugar in it unless you put it there, so that's why I really like it, because I get the flavor of the hot chocolate, but I can either use a little bit of artificial sweetener, or I can use, you know, very low, I can use a much lower level sweetener, because the regular stuff is just too much. And it's not as, like I said, it's if you can't have or you don't want regular hot chocolate with all the calories. It's also 0 calorie, because it's just cocoa and tea leaves, right? Sometimes, I don't know if it actually has shaved chocolate in it. That's a good question. But, you know, when you open a packet of hot chocolate, it's got a ton of sugar and usually, what, condensed evaporated milk or something in it. Maybe not. I have to look at my hot chocolate and see what's in it. But lots of sugar. Let's just put it that way. So I find that the tea doesn't tempt me. Like, I'm not having as much of the... Like, I'm only putting a little creamer in it, so it's not made with a ton of, like, milk or non-dairy milk. It's much lower calorie. Like, my tea in the morning is maybe 40 calories, whereas a hot chocolate is going to run you at least 120 calories, if not more. Yeah. Try the mint hot chocolate tea if you can find it, or mint chocolate tea if you can find it. Although if you can find chocolate tea and just put a little mint in there, a little bit of, like, if you can get just by herbal mint. I put a little creamer in there, but I use coconut milk. All right, so we've got that. Blocking in our little stones. They're going pretty quick because we didn't have a whole bunch left to do. My stones are going in a circle. I think I'll... how narrow do I want these? I want them about there. So I'm just using the edge of the spoon to kind of draft in what I want it to look like. And remember to just not make them all in a grid, make them a little bit off center from each other here and there. You can make some a little bit rounded if you wanted on the corners. And boom. So I've got them sketched in. Now I need to go in and make them deeper and more defined. And I've been using, you can use almost any narrow tool that has some precision, but I've actually been using the tip of this little hook tool. I'm pretty much non-dairy these days, so I'm like the crazy person who's not ever going to drink regular hot chocolate. But it makes me feel like I'm having hot chocolate, and that's the important thing. And with that area that we joined up that it's a little bit crumbly, I'm actually going to double down on that, make it like crumbled stone. Pull this little stone away from this a little bit and make it look like it's fallen in a bit. I'm just pressing down with this little hook. This little hook is precise enough for me to press in corners too if I want to round and not make my stones as square. And if they're cobblestones and they've been, you know, worn down, they really won't be that square. They will have rounded corners. So I was thinking about, I think I mentioned to you guys that I ordered a New York Times cooking subscription, so I'm totally going to be looking for recipes in their holiday section, see if anything looks awesome. What's your favorite holiday sweet food? What's your favorite treat over the holidays? There, treat. That's the word I was looking for. Favorite holiday treat. Yeah, I hadn't had it forever also, Carly, just because like I said, I kind of jumped away from dairy and away from sugar, and then I found this tea and I was like, wow, I can have hot chocolate again, or I can have the flavor of it anyway, with far fewer calories and no sugar, or only a little, depending on the creamer I use. All right, I need to get a little bit more water on this. It's not quite. Also, when the green is softer, guys, remember there's stuff that's better to do after the green has set up a little bit. At this stage, the green is very soft, and it's very goopy. It's easy to blend into things, so when I'm trying to blend it into the cobblestones, it worked really well. But mincemeat pie, interesting. Clutie dumpling. I heard about. Okay, what is the clutie? Is that the one with raisins in it, Cornico? Because we were just watching the first challenge of the Christmas Bake Off episode last night, and somebody mentioned clutie. I think it was the girl, but I don't remember what it is. Cookies. Mm-hmm. Going back and forth between my tools here. Kringle cookies. What are they, Tim Marvel? Ooh, baked pumpkin souffle. That sounds fun. Okay, I'm making a note. Also, I really liked that first challenge for Holiday Bake Off. It was leftovers pie, which I hadn't thought of, but yeah, leftover Thanksgiving or Christmas leftover pie would be really good. It seems like a lot of people in Britain think of curry with their with their Christmas, which is really funny. So let's see here. Baked pumpkin souffle. I'm gonna look that up. That sounds tasty. I'm looking for fun ideas because David's parents are coming down for the holidays. Boiled, yeah, I thought it was with raisins. That's right. Boiled pudding with raisins, dried fruit and apples, or dried fruit and spices. Boiled in a cloth. I'll look it up. Cheesecloth, I assume, would work. I'll look it up. Pastry cookie. Oh, okay. Pastry cookie in the shape of a pretzel. I am familiar then. Cool. Dairy extravaganza during the holidays. Yeah, we made baked brie for our wedding. We had brie en croûte. We had two. We made them just with, we made them ourselves with puff pastry and bries and preserves. They turned out pretty well. Although then I saw that we had one of our local grocery stores, my local grocery store that I'm completely and perilously in love with, actually has frozen ones, which I wish we would have seen. Although it was cool to make them ourselves. It wasn't that hard. I do love baked brie. Maybe I'll suggest to David that we need to do another brie en croûte for the holidays. But yeah, I want to make sure. I want to have some cool ideas to make for the holidays for when his parents are here. They're foodies, so. I've never made souffles though, and I love souffle. I would have to sacrifice and make a little gluten because there's a little bit of gluten in them, a little flour. But it would be fun to make them for breakfast. They'll be here for, I think, 3 or 4 nights. Staying in our guest room. It'll be fun. They'll finally see Kiki in her true incarnation, meaning Crazy Dingo. I see. Squidgy pot of goo. 1 sheet of linen. Okay, so I'd have to get some linen for... I bet they sell biscochitos. Okay. I don't know what a biscochito is. Although it sounds like a biscuit and a cochito. Yeah, Crazy Dingo Kiki. That is the incarnation. We're just hoping that she's mostly done with jumping up on people, and she seems to be done with ripping clothing mostly. So hopefully by the time Christmas comes around, she'll be completely done with ripping clothing. It's funny because David had to learn how to deal with a puppy, and his parents have never had one either. So they're going to get a crash course in how to deal with a misbehaving puppy. And then they're going to understand how much work it is. Then they should be impressed. Also, may I just say how grateful I am for the man that I have, because David gets up, and because he knows that my sleep is like important for my well-being, he actually gets up early and he takes Kiki out every morning, even when it's really cold, and he takes her for a walk. And I didn't ask him to do any of that. He just started doing it. He is fantastic, because I hate the cold, and if I don't get adequate sleep, I'm just like not fully functional. So like he took these two things and put them together and went boom. He best man ever, seriously. Oh, I can't do that. Yeah, Kurnika, we have those too. We have all the European baked goods around here. Costco has the huge tins of them. And like they so tempt me, but oh my gosh, I would eat the whole tin and then I'd be like another 7 pounds heavier after I fought so hard. I can't do it. I just look at them and I try to imagine the calories just migrating onto me in ways I don't want. And then I resist. Then I can make my save. It gives me a +2 to my save. If I bought them, I'd like eat like 4 or 5 and then I'd be like, oh no, I've got to throw these out. I don't, unfortunately, in the olden days, I could just bring crap like that to Reaper and everybody would eat it. But now, I don't have a workplace to give it to, and Google gives David's coworkers far better treats than that. So I really have no place to put my orphaned cookies. So see how that, taking that, the needle here, the curved needle in, has made bigger spaces between our cobblestones. Yeah, I should marry that guy, huh, Big Apple? Done and dusted. All right, and dip this into the water. And then I'm going to press it down in little bits onto my cobblestones, just very gently. They're soft enough right now that they'll take the texture really readily. And then I'm going to have to fix it if any have squished together when I was pressing down, which I will do with my with my backward needle tool. Yeah, David has breakfast there every morning, except for over the weekend when we eat together, obviously. All right, so some of my cobblestones squished a little bit, so I'm going to come in with the needle tool and just separate them out just a little bit more without messing up my texture, which is pretty easy. Oh my gosh, Kerniko. Yeah, no taste at all. Just kind of going in and doing little surgery for my cobblestones to make sure they all stand out. And then we'll move on to Sophie while we let that set. I guess the only skin on her is her face and ears and the wings if I want to do them the way I typically do them. Aw, Kiki's got a new toy and she's squeaking it. There. All right, so we've got some nice cobblestone patterns here now, guys, all the way around. And I'll be able to paint them. I'm going to take my my spoon here and make sure that everybody's got nicely blended into the cobblestones up here. There, that's good. All right. So it took a couple of sessions, although I did this back one really fast, so here I know I was explaining more and showing more, so there we are set. And then we can decide if we want to put any additional kind of like detailing on top of this, any plant life or little doodads or whatever. We'd have to figure out where she is to do something more specific. Jewish food exploration. Yeah, David has, I mean, he grew up getting Jewish food, but I haven't learned to make any. I'm a failed partner on that one. Let's see, where is... I want to put this back up. I thought I knew I had another little block with goo on it. So I need a block for Sophie. I may have to run into the other room again. Oh, there it is. It's hiding. It was hiding next to Fisher. I don't even know what that is. I'll ask David. He'll know. Alrighty. I'm going to make sure that my blue stuff is all goopy. So I took it off the top of my block here, and I'm going to knead it up just like Silly Putty. You could use Silly Putty for this. Hanukkah tends to be carb heavy. Yeah. Well, I can do some substitution. I just can't like hit the artificial sweeteners like I used to. Trust me, guys, if your intestines are still functioning as, and stomach are still functioning as intended, like, count yourselves lucky. There's so much stuff that I can't have anymore. And mostly I don't miss it. Like, it's just around the holidays I have to find some, like, equivalent, you know, stuff that I can still eat without regretting it. But yes, eat your tasty carbs and count yourself lucky that you still can. Really enjoy them. Close your eyes and savor your sugar. All right, so now we got a nice pliable area. And I mentioned, showed earlier last week that these wings actually snap in pretty well, even though I did compromise one a little bit. Oh, okay. Cool. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, yeah. I'll probably get a second, like, Thursday morning. I've got to work really hard this week on my Patreon stuff. Uh-oh. Way too early, Keese. Go settle. Indeedy. Yes. We're going to do skin. I'll do her to canon as in like Anne's canon. There is no real canon except for what Izzy made up, really. But my Sophie colors were based on some of Izzy's original work with Sophie. Sophie has changed over the years, depending on what artist is painting her and all the rest of it. But yes, exactly. She should be especially endorsing the Twitch channel because that money goes to Kiki Treats. Kiki Treats. But yeah, so these wings do snap in, although they take a little. There we go. And then they sit fine. So since they do that, I just had to do a little bit of cleaning to make sure that that they looked good, and then I'm just going to paint them separately. So. Yes, indeedy. I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, even if I put out my books and they do well, I'd still be doing the Patreon. Like, worst case scenario I could ever see was just lowering the Patreon down to one level if the books do really well, but I think it's more likely that the Patreon continues to do better than the books, so we'll see. I'm excited to publish my books finally. It's coming up. It's early next year for the first one. Might have to not do January just because I'm getting David's mom the manuscript a bit late, so I want to give her time to do a good proofread. Alright, so my green stuff is pretty much done. I don't think I have anything I need to green right now. I had a putty catcher around here somewhere, but I don't know where it went, so I'm just going to make that green go away. Into the trash with you, little green. Alright. So yeah, okay. This is cool. We got Genie tomorrow and Mouseling Wednesday. Hello, Shadow Raven. Alrighty. Yeah, her fingers are those gloves. I guess her fingers are like, if she's got gloves, but her fingers look like they're actually fingers. Like, I can see fingernails, I think, or are they armored? Guys, do you have Rhonda's, somebody check Rhonda's paint job and see if she painted, I can't tell if those are supposed to be little armored fingers or if they're supposed to be like fingers. And I don't have my phone here because I had to charge it. So if one of you could check Rhonda's blog, birdwithabrush.com, don't forget, it's great. And she has a Patreon. So, I used to do, for Sophie, I was using Pro Paints for the first part of this, but the equivalent colors that I would use would be a mixture of these two. So this is essentially my base, which means it's my shadow, mixing these two colors. Tan skin's great, but I like it just a little rosier for Sophie. So I used to be, when I was doing skin colors with the Pro Paints, I don't remember what the medium skin tone was for Pro, but I was mixing in Hill Giant Brown, and that's kind of like, gave her bare fingers. Yeah, I can see why, color compositionally speaking. And she does look like she has fingernails. All right, so we'll treat the greaves like greaves, and then the little bit on the top of her hand as leather, and then we'll give her bare fingers. That way we can have a little bit more skin color moving around the model. So yes, so this is essentially, I definitely, since she has a fairer skin tone, I definitely start with my darkest color, and then I add white or off-white to bring it up. I've done Sophie's wings various ways. Either I do the internal membrane skin colored, or I do them brown, but then I bring up a feather pattern in them. Now, these already have a texture, so I'm thinking the feather pattern is probably not a go. Usually, historically, I've done more of a feather pattern when it's a smooth surface, and it wouldn't work very well over this texture. So I think we'll be going with, we'll start with the wing color, but we'll bring it up with this flesh color. So that's what we'll do. So we're going to do a 50-50 of tan skin and rosy shadow. So if you ever wondered what Anne's canon colors for Sophie were, all the Sophies that I've painted over the years, you're about to find out. You put away my sculpting tools, though, so I don't forget anything. Don't lose anybody. Sophie gave me an allergy to painting wings, pretty much. It's always I always do it first, and that's what we're going to be doing this time. We're going to be doing the wings first. The skin and wings. And wings technically are skin covered, so. All right. The brown color for the wings has always been Shield Brown. Pro Paint on. I will be using probably russet brown. I've also used brown liner to shade it. So let's go in that order. We'll do that. We're going to do russet and see if that's going to be good enough shadow. Yeah, and I'm going to put 1 drop of Shield Brown into my 4 drops of russet just to bring it a little bit together. There. I'm going to do a 50-50, rosy shadow and tan skin. Just shake this a little bit better. It's a brand new bottle of tan skin because I ran out of my old one. I finally ordered more pure white and more rich leather from Reaper. I'm expecting a Reaper box. I don't remember if it's supposed to come. I think I ordered it like Friday, so it probably won't come till like Tuesday. All right, so we'll do that, and then we're going to be working from those colors and bringing them up with added white as we go. And we'll see if that is dark enough. Yeah, or you can do them as fingers. Because they could be demarcations, but they also could be like, you know, the knuckles. Yeah, but you could paint it either way, as Rhonda did cursed, so. I thought it looked like gauntlets, but I think it might be a better model if I have more skin color down low. I can see why Rhonda made that choice. There's definitely a color composition reason to make that choice. So, and when you have such small detailing, you can make that choice. So if you do this and you've got the wings on, imagine both wings on, essentially you are repeating the skin color, which is one of the lightest colors on the piece and one of the warmest colors. Yeah, well, they're too straight for knuckles unless you paint them that way. Like once you put, they're so shallow that if you put a little primer over them, you're going to be able to paint them any way you want. But anyway, so skin color, skin color, skin color, skin color, skin color, right? So that's 5 points. 4 points at the least, and it's a diamond. So that's essentially putting warm light color up top on the miniature and giving it the eye a way to follow it around the figure. And that's why painting these fingers as fingers instead of as gauntleted fingers makes sense, compositionally wise. Yeah, and that's probably it too. If she was painting from concept art, personally, I look at it and I can see that there are straight lines. You could definitely paint it as gauntlets, but I also think the tips of the fingers look more like fingernails, so you could go either way. And if the concept art has bare fingers, then that means that if these were sculpted as complete gauntlets, then the sculptor decided to go a little bit apart from the concept art. So then either way is right. Right. Not that there's any real right or wrong. Okay, let's grab our water. And did I lose? No, I didn't lose my water again. I have 2 waters. And this one needs to be refilled. So I need to grab my flow improver and put that aside to refill later. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to see what I thought I'd remembered that Rhonda had done. And oddly, I'm no matter what the concept art did, I would be. I think that Rhonda had the better call compositionally, so more likely to do that. Okay. Mix, 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 mix. So that lightens our shadow a little bit, but that's okay because I'm probably going to take a little bit of the skin tone and mix it into the shield brown. You can go back and forth. Get that up there. And if I need to darken my shadow a little bit more, I can, but I'm more likely to just bring this up with higher highlights. Yeah, exactly. In this scale, it really doesn't matter. Agreed. Alrighty. Here's our starting skin tone for Sophie. I'll mix a little bit into this. And I think I am going to take just a drop of brown liner and mix it into the shadow. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair to paint it either way with Sophie's hands. So 1 drop of brown liner. Just to bring it down a little bit so it's a more of a discernible shadow. I don't remember what brown I used to shade the shield brown. The shield brown existed in Pro Paint, but the other color didn't. At that point, I was still using some Vallejo paints because we were just starting Master Series formulations. So I may have used something in Vallejo like SS Camo Black Brown, which I used to really like. Might have used that before I created Russet Brown and Brown Liner. Alrighty. Let's see what we got. Let's see how the skin tone translates. It's going to look really light. And I may decide that I need a little bit more of a shadow, but in the olden days, I didn't really. There is a lot of white in the rosy shadow, despite it being a shadow. I'm using a small brush for this because I want to be neat. It's thinned 4:1 for basing, base coat. Just got a bit of a neck there. Get the underside of the jaw. And got a little bit of pooling paint, so I'll grab that before it dries and pull it off. Let's get down closer. And get the ears. Alrighty. Put on and get those fingers. The detailing on this model is really nice. Like, it's such fine detail. Rosy skin is a good triad. But yeah, the detailing on this model is really fine and really nice. This is the kind of stuff we can do in Bones USA, right? But see how it's nice to have the skin kind of like, repeated in more than one area. I'm going to do skin color in the interior. I'm probably going to do a wash with the shield over the top and bring it back up. I'm going to move to a slightly bigger brush to fill in the wings. This is the first Sophie I've painted in probably over a decade. By the way. Move to the Raphael. Other than asking about the fingers, I'm not going to consciously follow the concept art, although Sophie is usually in red, a red loincloth. So I'll probably stick to that since I was doing the canonical Sophie. This armor is definitely going to go NMM. We'll do some cool kind of blued steel kind of stuff. Maybe do it a little bluer than I normally would, just to do something a little different. Oh yeah, you could totally turn this into a tiefling. It'd be great. Let's see if you add horns. I am trying to get a whole bunch of pesky stuff done before the weekend so that I can have a truly relaxing Thanksgiving weekend, except for, of course, cooking all that food. But that's actually still relaxing, as long as I'm not rushed. I'm going to do a lot of pre-prep this year. The turkey breast, we're doing bone-in turkey breast, and that's already in the fridge defrosting. And then I'm going to brine it, dry brine. I don't do a wet brine. It's just too much pain in the butt. And then I'm gonna make the cream of mushroom soup for the green bean casserole the day before, and going to do, I'm gonna actually pre-cut all my like vegetables for the stuffing and stuff, except for the apple. Yeah, we'll go with a definite blue tone for it, I think. Won't go as dark as I do for vampires, but we'll try doing an intermediate, very blue, not silver, not like super, like somewhere in between. When I do blue steel, I'm usually talking about a grayish blue, because that's what works the best. We might do coated armor, although that's a bit blue. I'll have to look. That's almost a teal. I don't know I want to do teal. I want to do more blue. We might use carbon scoring and mix it with a gray. Yeah, I do love my herb butter. No, I never stuff my turkeys. Actually, I'm crows. I'm in the camp of do not stuff the turkey. Do the stuffing separate. I used to really love the mushy stuffing from the middle of the turkey, but in later years, I just find that I'd rather have a well-cooked turkey, and I find that stuffing makes that much harder. So the exception is that when I made a goose, I stuffed it with sausage apple stuffing. That was a long time ago. I did see a goose recently for sale in the grocery store that I love and adore. It was the first time I had seen a non-frozen, like I actually saw a fresh goose for sale. And I was sorely tempted, but oh my god, was it expensive. Oh yeah, no streams Thursday or Friday. Yeah, I'm no longer into the mushy stuffing. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving over here, Karniko. Sorry. For all of our European watchers, it's American Thanksgiving. So we are all about to fall into tremendous food comas over here in America. It's just boot camp for Christmas, right? Yeah, that's interesting, Crows. Maybe I'll try that with a chicken. How many oranges like per bird? Like just a couple? A couple for a turkey? I assume you want some space. Yeah, onions, that's what I had done in the past. So yeah, no streams Thursday and Friday, as all of us take a nice long holiday weekend. Just a couple per turkey, so probably one big one for a chicken. I'll try it out on a chicken, and because it's a slightly less important meal, and then I'll see how I like it there, and then maybe I'll try it for next Thanksgiving. Thanks for the recommend. think I'm going to do the cheesecloth, butter soaked cheesecloth for my turkey this year. The self-basting turkey, as they call it. Since it's just a breast, I can do it that way. There we go. We've got our skin color. Now, as you can see, you can still see a little bit of the gray through, so we will have to do another coat. Kodiak, I'm probably going to take Saturday off. It's the holiday, and I want to enjoy it and really relax. I might be on, if I'm really feeling like painting, I'll be on. You could pop in at, like, you know, 3:40 or around 3:30 and see if I'm going to be on. Sometimes I'm 5 minutes late, so you might want to pop in a little later than that. But yeah, it depends. If I feel like painting, I'll just get on and stream on Saturday. Oh, nice. No, I bet that'd be really tasty, Trash. I mean, come on, you're taking already awesome stuffing, and then you're just adding butter to it, or oil, or whatever you're frying them in, right? It's got to be awesome. Oh yeah, I was gonna say apple and onion and celery. That would be good. Well, I only have a bone-in breast, so we'll see if I have enough cavity to do anything with. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I don't know that I've had this brand before, so. There are so many varietals of oranges, it's kind of a bit crazy. All right, second coat, and after the second coat, we should be good to go. We'll kick this Sophie old school. We'll paint it the way that Anne used to paint. So that means a base coat and then a line, and then we bring up the highlights. And we'll work our color scheme as we go. I have oranges growing on our tree out front, guys. You know, I realized the other day I have no idea what kind of oranges they are. Maybe I could take a picture of the leaves and I know what kind of avocado tree I have. Because the tag was still on it because it was a baby when we got the house. But I do not know what kind of orange tree we have. But yeah, I can't wait till our greens become proper oranges, and then we'll be able to try them. What's really cool out here right now is David loves satsumas, the little mandarins, oranges, and it's a local fresh fruit out here, and this is the season for it. So I go to my local grocery store, my little one that I like, the really fancy one, and it's got like just this bin of like fresh off the tree picked that morning local satsumas. They're so good. I love that citrus grows. I love that I finally live someplace that citrus grows, and it's like, and that I have citrus trees. Although I think our lime tree really is dying, so we might have to choose to replace it. Satsuma leaves. Yep. Oh, I was just going to take a picture and take it to a garden center that sells the trees and see if we could figure it out, Pendrake. I figured that I might be able to find somebody knowledgeable. Ooh, well, a lot of paint. I used a lot of paint on it. It pooled, so I'm going to have to let it dry here. Now it's thin paint, so even though it's pooled, it's not going to obscure detail at all. It's just like going to be annoying and take forever to dry. So we'll leave that to sit, and I will use my smaller brush to put the second coat on, which is going to prevent that because the big brush is going to like leave a lot more paint, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the juice would just evaporate and give you steam bath, and the rind is where the flavor is. I agree. It's totally the thing. But yeah, I wasn't into satsumas when I was younger before David, but then David talked me into them. Now I'm a fan, especially when they're freaking fresh off the tree. That's like I just every time I go to the store now, I just grab another couple. They still have the twigs and leaves on them, like they were just snipped off and trucked down. It's great. Like I am passionately in love with our local little grocery store. Just walking into it makes me feel happy. It's like having a tiny and much more like happy Whole Foods. Like the employees, like you know a good place to work when you walk in, and the employees at the counters are always in a good mood. They're always joking with each other. They're always having a good time, and they're all knowledgeable about the food. Like that is a grocery store that has like built its employee base and trained them and keeps them happy. It's a locally owned grocery. And that's the kind of place I love to shop at. And you know what? I realized as I've gone, at first I was like, oh, well, maybe this is expensive. I don't know if we can afford it. And David's like, no, no, this is a really good store. Let's shop here. And that was the okay. So they actually have, when you're looking for mushrooms and all you can find are the freaking stupid bellas and whites and sometimes the shiitake. This place has all the mushrooms, guys. The chanterelles and all the weird mushrooms that gourmet foods want you to use that you can never find. Like if I actually want to make a recipe with chanterelle mushrooms, I now have a place I can get them. It's insane. Like I'm so happy. Seriously. Ooh, shrimp casserole sounds good. Sumo is the best, huh? For oranges. All right. Make a mental note. I have no idea. I bet our orange tree is just a standard old like navel orange tree or something. Or as you say, Valencia orange tree or whatever. No idea. Although I think mostly around here we seem to see fresh navel oranges. I don't actually see Valencias very often. Yeah, it's like when you have a local grocery store that is like it wins best of the South Bay regularly as far as grocery stores. Like it's a wonderful, and it's 5 minutes away. I'm so lucky. Sometimes you just have to stop and go, I'm so freaking lucky. But yeah, I love it. Sorry. Yeah, this one has a sushi counter too, and the sushi's good too, Karniko. I have to make my saving throw versus sushi if I go in there hungry. And sometimes I fail. Whenever like David's out of town, I totally go there for supper. I admit it. Because it's less expensive than going to a proper sushi restaurant, but it's still tasty. And they honestly have the best seafood counter of any place I've gone around here. I mean, they rival the best of the Whole Foods, which usually I find Whole Foods has a better selection than most grocery stores as far as seafood. But this place, excellent seafood. Like that's the only place I go for fish now. And they'll cut it exactly how you want it. Like I can get exactly the amount of salmon I want without having to deal with like the rolled eyes of like people behind the counter at some other grocery stores. Looking at you, Safeway. I just can't do it too often, Kariko. I really do love my salads for lunch, so. Yeah, I've had plenty of sushi in my life. I really do enjoy my lunch salads, though. Like, I normally do have lunch salad with some smoked salmon, so I do get some fish. That's my typical lunch, and I really do enjoy it. Or I wouldn't eat it every day. And lately I'm having kimchi with it, which I love. I could binge on kimchi. Cornbread. Oh yeah, giblets, yep. Yeah, my dad always used the giblets in the stuffing as well. I haven't continued that tradition because I was always like, well, and Dad always liked he liked liver and heart more than the rest of us did. But I do use the giblets to flavor the gravy stock, so. And often the doglets get the giblets, to be honest. Not the neck, obviously, it's too bony. If I'm going to make turkey stock, then the neck goes into the turkey stock, which I might do. Actually, I should do it this year because I've only got that bone-in breast. So I'll have the rib cage in the back and a little bit of neck. And that'll be easy to fit in the crock pot or in the, in the Instant Pot. And then I can just, if I have, I don't know if I get giblets in there though. Don't know if they give you that. Any sushi is suspicious in Kansas. Yeah, crows. Well, I don't know. Flash freezing is a thing. I mean, I was in Texas, North Texas, and I still had excellent sushi. Oh, cat litter. Yay. Yeah. See, like Diva has expensive tastes, and she knows. She knows it's a good store. Alrighty. We're pretty solid now. I need to make sure I got the ears. Those tiny little nubbin ears. Tiny ears. There. And then I always line. We're doing old school Anne here, so after the initial base, I always line before I start doing anything else. Hey there, Stephanie Mac. That's a good point, Turgeon. They might. Actually, I think I saw packets of giblets now that I'm thinking about it. They have a kind of a prepackaged poultry section. That's where I saw the fresh goose. I think I did see giblets. I mean, if I have to go without them, I have to, but the heart and liver are nice for the pupper treats. All right, brown liner. Used to use walnut and thinned it way down, so you could do that. But we've got brown liner. We have the technology of brown liner today, so I'm just going to use that. We're talking about food, Steph and Mac. American Thanksgiving being this Thursday, and I'm planning to cook all sorts of stuff. I'm going to make my homemade cranberry sauce, which is an old recipe from a friend of mine who got it from her grandmother, I think. So it's an old cranberry sauce recipe from the East Coast. So it uses maple syrup instead of sugar. I will do that. I will use, I'll cut down the amount of sugar in it probably, but I will use the maple syrup. Yeah, I love cucumber sushi. I'm going to do, I think, a 4-to-1 for the brown liner. I always thin it a little. I mean, technically you can use it straight out of the bottle, but I find that if you're using a really thin brush, it's going to kind of fight you coming off of there, unless you use that 1 drop of water. But yeah, oh, and the fall colors around here are so gorgeous. Like, I know a lot of you are already getting snow. It kind of makes me happy that I'm living in a slightly warmer climate, because November is really when our fall color really kicks in here in the South Bay. So I feel like I'm actually getting a fall. It's really nice. It also makes me glad I take the Papa for walks, because the Papa and I can both enjoy it. Yeah, I'm not sure what maple syrup we have. So, lining very, very gently. On a sculpt like this, the great thing is it's not going to fight you. Like, this is so important if you're like painting for competition. You want something that's meticulously sculpted, that has really, really good detail before you ever put paint on it. something that's neat, something that doesn't have stuff that's phoned in. You know, a really crisp sculpt, if you can get it. Because it's going to reward you. It's not going to fight you. I mean, maybe you'll fight to hit all those little details, but the sculpt itself will still look good. This is the kind of model I would paint for competition. It is freaking clean. So I really like to line and start getting everything to stand out at the beginning for 28 millimeter. It means those maple syrups didn't study enough. Hey, there's nothing wrong with bees. Come on now. I think I painted this a little bit wrong, so I'm going to block that in. Her thumbs are tiny. And lining is going to bring out stuff like that. Like the thumbs would just get lost if you didn't line them here. But putting that little bit of shadow with the fact that the thumb is a light color makes it stand out. Then you can see it. This is why you line. Yeah, I always tell people for competition, try to choose a sculpt that's really clean. When you're, especially if it's like you're starting out with competitions. Like as you get more into the hobby and you get better and better and you start like doing conversion work and stuff, you're going to get to the point where if there is kind of a mucky or sad place on the model, you can take green stuff and correct it. But in the beginning, where you're just trying to paint a stock model and you don't have a lot of sculpting or conversion chops, for something really neat, something really, really clean that will challenge you to put a paint job as clean on it. Nothing where you're going to have to wonder what something on it is. So lining those fingers brings them right out. Now they stand out. Yeah. Just painted brown. Yeah. Well, you know, it's different concept artists. I like a little bit of stuff on the belt. Because, you know, if you need a color accent, then having a bag or a bottle is an okay way to get one, right? It gives you somewhere to put it. But if you have too much, yeah, then it gets just painful. And those are Wayne Reynolds concept arts, so you can yell at Wayne trash. Oh, I talked to David about Eric's winning model, Best in Show model for Monte Sansevino, and he said that it was a custom sculpt done just for him. He paid Joaquin to sculpt it. So that is a one-of-a-kind figure. I'm tempted. Like, if I had the ability, if I could find a really cool piece of concept art, maybe I would pay a sculptor to do something like that for me. All right, yay, it's a history lesson from Shadow Raven. Everybody circle around the wagons. Back in the 17 and 1800s, maple sugar, not syrup, but sugar, was being exported heavily from New England, sugar maples, baby, Ontario, and Quebec to Europe. The higher grade, the cleaner, less maple flavor, and more sugar. The syrup had because, I see. The higher grade, the cleaner, less maple flavor, and more sugar the syrup had because it wasn't desired for flavor, but for sugar. I get it. So the more heavily maple flavored and colored got a lower grade, but is better as maple syrup than for sugar. That makes sense. And I do want the maple flavor. That's really cool. So now we know, guys. So yeah, grade A means less mapley. Grade B is more mapley, and grade C has the most mapley. Right? Right? Yeah. Thank you, Shadow Raven. Yay, history with Shadow Raven. Normally it's history with Pendrake, but Shadow Raven stepped up on the sport this time. So Pendrake, you get a day off. Oh, Quindy. Okay, well, you're a southerner, so we won't think badly of you. Oh, dear. That's all right, Quindy. It's all right. We won't judge. Well, okay, we'll try very hard not to judge. It's the best we can do. I don't use, like, I don't eat pancakes anymore, so I don't, and I cut back on sugar. So the only reason we have maple syrup at all in our house is actually for Thanksgiving for my cranberry sauce. So I'm going to just thin down my brown liner and do a dark shadow on the interior of the hair here. That's going to help to make this face stand out. Essentially, I'm doing dark underpainting over the hair here. You like the crummy kind as well, bro? That's all right. And we're expected to believe Bug Lips is the goblin. You know, you can like what you like. A lot of times it's what we're brought up on, that we just like that flavor, right? It's like when I love Cadbury cream eggs, even though I know the chocolate isn't nearly as good as the other chocolate that I have, but I can't help it because I've loved them since I was a child. Cannot resist. Up. Bye. Bye, Crowley. So yeah, so I'll do the basic line with the brown liner, the straight up brown liner. And then I'll actually take some water in my brush. And I'll just dip the tip of my brush into the water. And that'll thin the paint on the brush. And then I can just do a quick targeted wash here. So that makes the face stand out. And I want to get the neckline as well for the armor. That's a little bit more brush control since we're... Ah! You have all sorts of good stuff, Granko. Well, now I'm just going to have to go and look for real, like, awesome maple sugar at the... That's an excuse to go to the grocery store I'm in love with. I'm sure they've got all sorts of stuff. They have all sorts of fancy jams. It always makes me want to buy jam, even though I don't really eat it. I'm like, I could find a reason to eat jam for this. It's a dangerous grocery store. All right, so we've got the shadow there. I'm putting a shadow down here under her chin as well. I'm just dipping the tip of my brush, which is loaded with brown liner. Dipping the tip of it in water and just almost getting just a quick wash out of it. Just painting a little bit of a shadow there. Oh, mouth of sweet teeth. Yeah, David always teases me about my sweet tooth too. Even though I've cut back, Kerniko, there are still days where I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. But I tell myself that that's the important thing, is that most days I don't go crazy. If I only do it every once in a while, I'm okay. As long as my consistent choices are healthy. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Tree juice. Tree juice. I love it. Oh, need to thin my liner a little bit more to get these eyes. And as usual, as you all know, I like to blacken the eyes and do the line of the mouth. Oh, interesting. Interesting, Butts. I didn't know that. Oh, interesting. Well, I'm kind of screwed then. The puppy's totally complaining. She totally thinks that it should be walk time right now. Oh, got a little blorfy on that eyeball, but that's okay. We can trim it up. Always move the model around to give you a more comfortable angle on whatever you're painting. So maybe I can get this one past the nose. These are pretty big eyes, but that went too big there, so I'm going to go and correct it. No, never experienced it. Yeah, definitely a squeaky kiki right now, because it is 11. She listened to me earlier, though, when I told her to settle, so she can fuss a little bit. So trimming up the eye there where I made it a little bit too. There, and then I want to make sure that I've got the side of that face really tight. Yeah, in Scotland you have several foods that sound horrific. And that supposedly are decent. I assume that you need an acquired taste for some of them. Oh, my mom makes the best toffee. We'll be getting a present. We will be getting a present with toffee in it at some point. Probably the week before Christmas. It's the Christmas present we're allowed to open early. Mom makes people toffee for presents every year. So we got the eyes done in. I'll do the line of the mouth. It's probably the thing that beginning painters really don't think about is lining the mouth. And a lot of intermediate painters don't realize it's a thing either. But it adds a lot to your model's expression if you can get it. And sometimes you need to do touch-ups, and that's just fine. Got a little bit of lower lip there too, but we're all right. And then we got to get the ears where they come out. Papa, enough! Stop it. She's like, oh. We will be out in another 5 minutes, Papa. I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to keep it up. Good girl. She's listening now. Yeah, that sounds the same, isn't it? The treacle and the... Hold on, Papa. There we are. Just going to get a bit of a shadow in here. And again, we're just picking this stuff out, making it stand out more. And we have got a little bit of creep on our skin color here. So we're going to go and correct it. There, nice and trim. Alrighty. I think we'll call it there. It would take me too long to line the winglets here. But we're pretty set up. I'm going to make a card for Sophie. And tomorrow is Jeannie Dude. So tomorrow we'll be working on Air Scion, Mr. Pex. And I was popping some silver NMM on there before. We'll see what we're going to do. I might work on the silver NMM with the upside down scales. I might work on some of his cloth instead. We'll see what I feel like working on, really. We've got a lot of stuff blocked in now, so we can pretty much work on anything we feel like for him. But let's get our Sophie stuff blocked out here. Papa, I'll be out in just a second. You can deal. So we've got... Get our brush stuff. Oh, treacle's a little more bitter, huh? I say I like molasses. I know, you're so squeaky. I know. So squeaky. Let's go take our walklet. All right, and brown liner. We know it's brown liner, so we don't need to swatch that. But I'm going to swatch the rest of this. 9199, 9161, 9064. 411. And then this is 9161. Plus bits of skin and shadow. And this is tan skin and rosy shadow. One to one. There we are. We now have a Sophie key. All right, guys. So tomorrow, yeah, it's Genie Day. Thank you so much for coming today and hanging out. We did basing. We finished up our basing sculpting, and when we started on our Sophie, I also ordered a couple new models from Reaper when I put in that paint order. So I'll have some other models to consider painting as well. All right, and yes, we'll stop talking about the roaming haggis. And Beyond the Kit will be on, we hope, Quindy says. So thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a lovely day. I'm going to go out and walk the screaming papa, the dingo, all right? Go out and catch yourself a wee haggis. Thanks all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.